Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you today. We have the Protech Malibu. This is provided to me by the manufacturer. Get that out of the way right off the bat. They are not in stores yet, but they will be imminently. And by imminently, I mean like a week or two, not, 2-3 months from now. They did distribute a few of the first ones out to some of us reviewers, and I very much appreciate them doing that because this is honestly one of my most anticipated knives this year. I first saw it in SHOT Show videos. I didn't go to SHOT Show, but I saw it in other people's videos. And I was like, wow, I have to have that. It is a manual flipper. It is not an automatic. I'm going to make sure to put that in the title because people see Protech, they just assume automatic. But Protech does make some pretty good manuals. They have in the past. I'll be showing one of them shortly when we get to size comparisons. But I was really excited about this one. It's just a size that I like, and the price is right as well. $199.95 is what these are going to cost when they hit retailers. Not bad at all. You're getting that amazing USA-made Protech construction. You are getting the 20 CV blade. Nice deep carry pocket clip. And like I said, just very well made and super good looking. The finish on the blade does not look inexpensive at all. Completely sterile blade, by the way. Just says Protech on the spine, which is pretty cool. I do like that a whole lot. Everything is nice and flush. All the screws are really good quality. Just all the kind of stuff you usually expect from Protech. And yeah, we'll get into this more as we go. But yeah, spoiler alert, I like it. I was really, really looking forward to it. And this was not a don't meet your heroes moment. Not perfect. There's maybe one or two little things I don't like that much, but nothing I hate. All right, let's get going with some specs and some size comparisons. Try to line this up. These are 1/2-inch squares on this purple background. You have an overall length of 7.5 inches, blade length of 3.25 inches, blade thickness of 0.125 inches, handle thickness of 0.48 inches, and a weight, according to my scales, of dead bang on, right down to the 100th, 3 ounces. Size comparisons. Let's do our usuals. We have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2, the Spyderco Para 3. You can see it's kind of right between those, closer to the Para 3 than the PM2. And your Benchmates, I'm going to throw in an extra one here. We have the full-size Griptilian, the full-size Bug Out, and since it happens to be right here, the mini Griptilian. So you can see it's pretty darn close, and the mini Griptilian does not like to sit up pretty. It's a rude little thing. Yeah, you can see it's a pretty similar overall length to a Bug Out. So if you have a Bug Out, you have a good time with that, as far as the blade length and the handle length. Pretty similar on the Malibu. And we're going to do a couple extras on this one just because it is new. And obviously none of you have seen it before in person, so I want to bring out a few extras. I like doing that when we have new stuff. So we'll bring out the Hogue RSK Mark 1-G2, the full size, and the mini, which I recently did a video on. You can go back and find that if you'd like to. Much closer to the full size than the mini, but still kind of in that in-between mark. And the Ontario Rat Model 1. I always try and land pivots on these is what I'm doing, if you're wondering why I'm trying to be so precise with these. And the Model 2. Quite a bit bigger than a Model 2. And lastly, this is a knife that I think a lot of people think this is just going to be the same size and everything because maybe they've handled one of these and it's made by Protech, but it is not. It is significantly smaller. This is the Ferrum Forge Mordax that was sold by Drop, made by Protech, another one of their manual flippers. And by the way, in a previous video, the video's been linked at the end. I have a video about my entire Protech collection. I said this didn't have bearings. I misspoke. I was trying to say something else and I flubbed it up. It's got bearings. Both of these do. I just misspoke on it, so apologize for that. But yeah, you can see it's quite a bit smaller than that. I assure you this knife exists. I know the blue kind of blends in with the purple, but I assure you this is a Drop Ferrum Forge Mordax made by Protech. Long name, but great knife. All right, Talk about this knife more individually. Most important part about a knife is the blade. Blade stock, 0.125 inches, not bad at all, 20 CV. Can't complain about that. I have handled the Mordax quite a bit. It is also 20 CV through Protech. It's held up extremely well, performs exactly as 20 CV should. I have no doubts to believe that this will do any different. About 23 thousandths behind the edge. Not amazingly thin, but it is screaming sharp out of the box. Absolutely no worries there. Cut's awesome. This is the Wharncliffe blade shape. There is also a reverse Tonto one. They're not hugely dramatically different in the way, the shape of the cutting edge. It's just kind of more up here, but that's fine. I got the Wharncliffe because honestly, I couldn't decide. It was kind of a coin flip situation. And Protech said they could get me the Warney faster. So that's the one that I got. Made that decision easy for me. I'm glad they did that. But great blade. I've been trying to use this as much as I possibly could the last 4 days or so that I've had it. And it's a very, very useful blade. Actually, this is like the only knife I've cut anything with in the last 4 days. And it's worked extremely well. I also put it through some more kind of tortury tests, just hacking up some cardboard. And it's held up really, really well. Great slicer. There are better slicers out there, maybe even one or two in the Protech range, but not a whole lot. It's definitely a well above average slicer. And you still have a pretty darn good point on it, which I like that a lot. It is still a very solid tip. I mean, you don't want to go prying open paint cans, but you shouldn't do that anyway, unless, you know, you hate the world. But unless you like to watch the world burn. But it's still a good solid tip on it. Nothing you have to worry about in daily sort of tasks. Still pretty good piercer. All that good stuff. Really, 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 really like using the blade on this. Another thing I like about it is the ergonomics. It is super comfortable in the hand. No hot spots whatsoever. Thank you, Protech, for not putting the really long clip like the Newport and stuff has on it. Again, if you watch my Protech collection video at the end of this, you'll see. I'm not a big fan of the really long clips. This has the shorter one, so yay. But everything, you're really pretty well locked into it. They are aluminum handles, but they have a bit of grip to them. There's no jimping whatsoever. So, you know, if you're working in a particularly slippery environment, this might not be enough grip for you. But I think for 90% of people in their EDC task, this is going to be a completely fine grip for you to have. No issues there whatsoever. As far as the carry goes, let us try it out. It carries pretty darn good. Yield Wranglers Mark II are already getting worn out. I'm going to have to get Yield Wranglers Mark III. You can see disappears in the pocket really well. Slides in and out great with that pocket clip. One thing that's kind of funny about Protech, some new ones you get, the first couple times you put them in and out of your pocket, they go creak, because it's just the nature of the spring tension and that particular texture they put on the aluminum. It just makes a harmonic resonance thing. Doesn't seem to do it as much with the short clips, and this one doesn't do it. But sometimes with the longer clips, you get that, like the first couple times you take it out. This one doesn't have it. There is a bit of a flipper tab sticking out, and there is a bit of jimping on there. So that's one downside to the carry, is if you're reaching really far down in your pocket to get something past it, you might catch that a little bit. But it's not too egregious. It's nothing that really freaks me out. The ramp on the clip is pretty good. Oh, look at that. We have some stringies coming off of Yield Wranglers Mark II. I have to cut up another pair of jeans, but all the jeans I wear also are all worn out from putting knives in them. So, but yeah, it takes up very little room in the pocket. In at 3 ounces for a 3 1/4 inch blade. Can't complain about the weight a tiny little bit. Excellent. As far as the action goes, perfect detent-wise, just absolutely perfect. And it falls shut very easily. You're just gonna move your arm a little bit and it falls right down. You have to keep your finger on that button all the way down. This thing to remember. Now you probably are hearing already and probably already starting to draft your comments. Yes, there is the tiniest bit of button stick. I talked to Protech about it. I said, hey, I got a little bit of stick. They said, yeah, a little bit is intentional for safety reasons. A little bit is intentional. It has already lessened quite a bit in the 4 or so days I've been carrying this thing and using it. But yeah, and you can, of course, nice thing about button locks, you can also open them like this. Super fun way. That's mostly how I actually do it. I hardly even use that flipper. I mostly just do that. I will say it is not quite as drop shutty as the Mordax. That is kind of unsurprisingly because of a magic thing called physics, because this is a much bigger, heavier blade. So it just kind of naturally falls down. When you're actually feeling the movement of the bearings, they're pretty close. This still just does feel just a bit smoother, but not in any way that a normal person, you know, I'm even going to withdraw that statement. Now that I'm moving this again, no, they feel about the same. I think it's just physics, the weight of the blade. This, you just kind of give it a little tilt and it falls right down. But again, much smaller, lighter blade, so unsurprising there. So what are my overall conclusions on this? I think I alluded to at the beginning, you know, this is, you know, some knives are, you get so hyped up for it and you say, don't meet your heroes. But this is pretty darn good. That little bit of lock stick, I could live without that for myself. I can see kind of why they did it, if that's the reason why it's there, but I wouldn't have done it. I do applaud a lot of other choices. I love the completely sterile blade. I think that's very nice. On the spine, I wouldn't mind it saying 20 CV somewhere instead of just the serial number, but that's the tiniest little aesthetic thing. I really like the look of it a whole lot. So glad they used the short clip. I was really worried it was going to come with a big, long, giant clip on it, but it did not. The ergos are great, the weight is great, and the price is actually an excellent value. $200 for 20 CV, you know, 100% American-made knife. It's pretty hard to knock, really. This is definitely going to be in my top 10 knives of the year. Absolutely, for sure. I expected that before I even got it. I thought it would probably be a knife of the year contender, and it probably is a contender. Pretty tough class this year. I split my knives between under 100 and over 100, and the over 100 is getting pretty crowded, but this is still definitely absolutely a contender. Great job, and it looks good. I don't know what else you want. It comes with a really cool box. Where is the box? This is a box for a different Protech, but they're the same. I just like the little magnet box. You get lots of cool stuff with it. You know, it's just, you just feel like you bought something much more expensive than it is. And I'll close on that. Everybody, I meant to allude to it in the collection video. I'm not sure that I did, but everybody thinks Protechs are really expensive. They aren't. Yes, they're more expensive, you know, than a CRKT or a Kershaw. Of course they are, but they're not crazy. And they're not really that super hard to find either. I think people just avoid them because they assume that they're crazy expensive. But, you know, you can get a really good Protech Auto for $130. You know, they're not insane. So definitely go check one of these out as soon as they are available. And like I said, imminently, they'll be available pretty soon. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one. Stay safe. Wash your hands.